Hey everyone, welcome back to Moo the Motherland. I'm Robert, joined as always by my brilliant co-host Marlene. Today we're kind of sneaking behind the official storylines, if you will, into one of Egypt's most enigmatic and honestly overlooked sites, the Sun Temple at Ghurab.
Yeah, Robert, I think the word overlooked is perfect here. I mean, most folks, when they think ancient Egypt, their minds jump right to Giza or Saqqara. We've talked about both in past episodes. But Ghurab, it's a whole different beast with all this secrecy, special permission, these high walls. You don't just wander in with your camera, you know?
Exactly. So why does it have all this restricted access? Is it just because they want to preserve it? Or is there stuff there that would, I don't know, blow the lid off conventional narratives? I'm not saying it's aliens. Okay, that's a whole separate rabbit hole. But there's this air of, what are they hiding? The thing that really gets me is these huge stone basins, massive, precise, and nobody can agree on what they're for.
It's wild. Mainstream archaeology, if you pick up your average guidebook, says these were ceremonial or maybe just some industrial installation for offerings or water or something. But honestly, look at the engineering. I remember my first time in a restricted site in Egypt. I think it was Dashur, actually. But Ghurab gave me that same sense, like you're stepping into a place that isn't just locked down for preservation, but because there's something deeper. There's a draw to hidden archaeology, right? The public only sees what's above ground, but researchers are starting to speculate there's as much below the surface, maybe more.
Yeah, and speaking of similarities, you see parts of Ghurab that aren't just ancient, but possibly pre-dynastic, predating what the textbooks call ancient Egypt. So was this a solar energy site renovated by later dynasties? I mean, that's what some people are seriously suggesting. The old core left untouched out of respect or maybe, I don't know, fear of disturbing some energy? And the features, I'll just say, don't look like water basins to me. They're engineered. They've got symmetry, channels, polished surfaces, super precise cuts too.
Right, and the geometry. Some of these basins have proportions you see in sacred architecture, like intentional ratios and cymatic patterns. Way more sophisticated than what you'd need to, store water. And it gets even crazier when you start comparing these to places we've discussed before, like the sound chambers at Saqqara, or even those enigmatic tunnels beneath Giza. There's this pattern of energetic sites, almost as if Egypt had a network going, and Ghurab's stonework fits into that bigger mystery perfectly.
Okay, so here's where things really get speculative, but honestly, that's my favorite part. There's this whole school of thought that says these giant stone basins weren't vats or anything mundane. The idea is, what if they're actually components of an anti-gravity or levitation system? Stay with me, it sounds wild, but let's walk through it.
I love where this is going. And it's the materials that catch my attention first. Tons of quartzite, limestone, even some granite. These aren't random rocks. Quartz, for instance, is piezoelectric. It actually builds up an electrical charge when you vibrate it. And the geometry itself, concave like a satellite dish, totally engineered to focus energy. The surface is so smooth it almost shines in some spots. Why so much precision if it's just for water?
Yes, so imagine you have these big stone bowls carved from quartzite, and you put a giant crystal in the middle. Step 1. That crystal acts as a frequency stabilizer. It can be aligned with Earth's magnetic field, and when you activate it through chanting, drumming, or focused sound, it starts humming, essentially. Then, you add these grooves around the rim, which could have held metal or magnetized stone, the so-called magnetic resistance rings. If those are oscillating or spinning, they generate magnetic pressure fields. We know in modern science that magnetic levitation, or maglev, uses counter-rotational fields to literally lift stuff off the ground. Why couldn't ancient engineers have done something similar? Just way more analog.
It's not as far-fetched as it sounds. I mean, we see that scale of ambition with their sonic knowledge at Saqqara, and like you said, maglev trains today. The ancient Egyptians were no strangers to using geometry for energetic purposes. These basins could have created some kind of localized field. And if you consider the whole temple layout, aligned for maximum sunlight, solar energy would have charged the entire system. Quartz absorbs sunlight and releases energy in weird, sometimes measurable ways. Throw in harmonic chanting or ritual sounds, and the whole thing, well, it starts to look like a physics-based spiritual technology, doesn't it?
Totally. If I break it down, hypothetically, here's how it could work. Step 1. You set a big quartz crystal in the basin, maybe even cut to echo certain frequencies. Step 2. You get your magnetic rings moving, spinning, pulsing, whatever. Step 3. A group chanting or making sound sends frequencies through the air, which the basin's geometry amplifies. Step 4. Inside the right frequencies, those combined forces could, at least in theory, generate a coherent field. You might get a partial levitation effect, like a 20 to 30% reduction in weight, which, let's face it, would be absolutely nuts.
It's worth remembering, no crystals or copper or magnetics have survived in situ, so mainstream archaeology just sees giant bowls. But, as you just outlined, the engineering is there for something a lot more. It's honestly reminiscent of global traditions. Tibetan monks levitating stones with trumpets and chants, or stories of Indian vimanas and Atlantean crystal platforms. Was Egypt experimenting with multiple forms of energy, sound, solar, crystal, woven together?
And that's what I keep wondering. Could Egyptian temples have been gigantic physics experiments disguised as places of worship? Like, did the priests have a way to manipulate gravity for ceremonial or practical reasons? It's both exhilarating and a little frustrating that we're left with only the heavy stone shells, without the perishable tech that would have made the whole thing turn on.
That's a perfect segue, Robert, because there's another layer. These basins might not have been purely functional. Their symbolism is just as important. Imagine, whether or not anything literally levitated, the process itself, the sound, the crystal, the sunlight, could represent spiritual ascent, the uplifting of the soul, maybe even the journey of Ra. Ritual blends into technology so seamlessly in ancient Egypt that sometimes you can't tell where one ends and the other begins.
Yeah, it's almost like they never separated science from spirituality. We get hung up on what's practical and what's ceremonial, but to them, elevating an object could mean lifting spirit, not just stone. I might be stretching, but this echoes what we saw in Saqqara's chambers. Sound was literally changing people's experiences, and maybe, just maybe, their physical reality too. There's this sense of lost arts everywhere you look.
And that brings up something a listener asked last week. If these practices, even in fragmentary form, get hinted at by modern-day guardians. There was this guide on a small private tour I did years back. She waited until we were alone in a closed-off portion of a temple. I won't name which one. She leaned in and whispered, "There is lost art we cannot show, but if you listen, the stone remembers." It haunted me, honestly. Sometimes I wonder if we're too busy looking for dramatic effects to notice the subtle ones, like the way stories, stone, and song carry memory forward even after the technology is gone.
It's true, and the Ghurab basins fit into that bigger pattern, a global web of myth and mystery. The Tibetans' chanting stones, the vimanas of India, the Atlanteans' crystal power plants, and even what we talked about in our Mu and Lemuria episodes, that thread of advanced, lost traditions that might have linked continents. Ghurab could be a surviving node. What if legends aren't exaggerating, but describing real technologies we just don't recognize?
Exactly. Maybe the most important message is to look deeper. What's simply stone could actually be a silent song or a half-forgotten instruction manual. In future episodes, we'll keep digging, sometimes literally, into these clues. For now, that's all the time we have, Robert. I'm glad we got to wander this mysterious ground together.
Me too, Marlene. Thanks for going on this ride. Whether it's memory, myth, or lost science, I feel like we're only getting started. Thanks to everyone for listening and for your amazing questions. Stay curious, and we'll see you next time on Mu the Motherland.
Take care, Robert. Goodbye, everyone. Catch you in the next episode.